So I then ask people if, for example, would you like to do this food journaling with me? Food journaling means we're actually making art about food.
Hello Niners, welcome back to our podcast. And today I will be your host again. I'm Chris and this is Ika.
Yes.
Ika, yes. Ika is from Vantiani. Her Instagram is Vantiani. Vantiani. Okay, please follow her. She's a creative artist. She specializes in collage painting.
Collage making. I'm like, my main medium or my main technique as an artist is collage. I do other technique also, but most people, of course, and I do most of my work through collage.
Okay. So today we're gonna talk to her about the insights of her work. We're trying to dig her brain and see what is the specialty about collage, and then what is the Indonesian art community looks like. Okay, so why collage?
Okay, because originally at the beginning I was trying to making my own zine. If you're familiar with zine, zine is an independent publishing, like magazine. There's a zine.
Oh yeah,
that one word zine is actually like it's basically as simple as make your own magazine, make your own media. So I think at the end of 2000, I plan to make my own magazine in a way, but I do not know how to do this with computer design. But I do know that some of the zine that I saw at that time was using collage as a technique. So then I said, I think I can make my own magazine with this collage making, with this collage technique. So that's where it started. But then not until I think 2008, when then I found out that through some blog hopping, some artists using collage as their technique, making mixed media pieces and other work. And then I said, oh, this is interesting. I never thought of using collage before in making art, like art. But then since then I've been then learning by myself. So I'm a self-taught artist. Just sitting a couple of hours after office, learning how to make them. And that's the beginning of it. So I've been doing collage for now more than 13 years, I think.
13. Wow, that's very cool. Maybe before we go deep, you can introduce yourself, your background, and your anything you want to tell us about you.
Sure. I'm Ika Vantiani. You can call me Ika. I'm a self-taught artist. I prefer to call myself a creative worker because I'm pretty much doing a lot of things a part of being an exhibiting artist. I'm also a curator, I'm a crafter, also doing a lot of workshops. And with the my background is in the communication industry for more than 10 years. So also doing a lot of freelance communication gig, specifically for art and culture.
What is a communication industry?
Well, I mean, I used to work in advertising agency for more than 10 years. So that background, then what I've been then doing it also in other field, which is into 2012, I moved it to art and culture. So I'm doing a lot of work in communication field, but specifically for art and culture, for galleries, for other artists, for art school, and for similar other creative. So so now I've been doing that. A part of being an artist, I'm doing a lot of freelance job, but mostly in art and culture.
Wow, that's cool. Because my background is also advertising, but I wanted to do art more than advertising. But I chose advertising, and I realized that it's advertising at the end is mostly about numbers. It's not really what I thought it is. And then I just focus on graphic design and art. Because numbers, it's more like at the end of advertising, it's like marketing.
True.
Yeah, and then it's totally not what I expected.
It's all about selling. You're selling this and selling that.
And especially, when I went to school, the software just came out, like Adobe and those stuff just came out. And then before that, why I asked you why collage is because at when we were in school, that's how we start building
Yes.
stuff. We couldn't make anything, so we had to cut out magazines
Yes.
and then present it yourself before drawing.
Yeah.
And then it was really fun because then you get to, you want to find something you want, you have to go
Yes.
through everything.
Yeah. This
And
hunting part of
yeah.
the visuals that we wanted, right?
And then not all magazines, the difficulty is not all magazines can be cut out
Yes.
if they don't belong to you. So we were in school, we were stealing pages. We were just tearing out pages.
Good students. That's a good
Yeah,
students.
because it's so expensive to buy
Of
all the
course.
magazines.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why when I saw that you were doing collage, I'm like, wow, that's very cool because it's not much people doing collage.
That's a very interesting story because I think one of the things also that I'm in love with collage is also how simple the tools and materials are.
Yes.
Like you pretty much can found, kalau just like the scissor and glue and paper, we all have it in our space, in our home, gitu ya, in our room. But the way those simple tools could turn into an art, I
Yes.
think it's a very empowering in a way
Yes.
to see yourself as a person with your own,
Oh, yes,
fingers
yes.
and this visualizations and your ability to how do I say it, modify whatever you can found, but turn it into something that you put your message into. I think that's a
Yes.
very powerful skill
yes.
to do. So I think that's what also interesting about collage to me. It's how easy in a way to engage people to try to do that because you don't have to be able to draw. Most people
Yes.
kan akan get, but I cannot draw. It's okay. I said
Yes.
it's not about drawing. Like,
Yes.
oh really? Yeah, but I'm not that creative. It's not even about that yet. I mean,
Yes.
you will find it along the way when
Yes.
you actually put your hands there.
Yes, for sure. Because a lot of time when we were studying, and then a lot of times our professors would just tell us, collage is pure idea. You don't need to learn how to draw. You don't need to spend a lot of time on Photoshop or Illustrator or sketching. It's just what is your idea. And you can, for example, you want to put a cat's face on a man's head.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Yes.
So you don't have to actually draw the body
that's
or draw the head. You just cut them out. So it's a pure form of ideas, and it's a very pure form to present the idea very simply. And then it's actually very hard to do collage to make it fun.
True.
Otherwise, it's just picture of someone.
Yeah.
And then if there's no concept behind it, you don't really know what's happening.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's why
true.
it's very interesting.
Yeah, and at the same time, I think for people who not familiar with art making process,
Yes.
collage is less intimidating
Yes.
compared to painting, compared to other tools and mediums, and you don't even have to go to art supply shop, right? You don't
Yes.
have to know what numbers of brush or
no,
what numbers of paint. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You pretty much just use whatever you have, which does even make it much more easier for people to, and less scary to try. So actually what I've been finding also about collage, because I've been doing it for years now and doing a lot of workshops, creating conversations with public through collage making, I tend to able to in a way engage them and persuade them to try because of that, because how easy in a way you have nothing to lose. I mean, if it's not really, of course, not like you come up with this beautiful work at the end, no, but I think the surprise element to it also add the fun of it.
Yes.
You will always end up with a surprising end result work of collage, right? Because
Yes.
you cannot control it at all. I said
Yes.
you pretty much use whatever visuals out there. It already exists for you.
Yes.
And it's of course then, yeah, that's true. I agree with you that it becomes the difficult part, how to actually make it work for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And how to tweak it and how to like twist it and make it has to be able to work. So I think that's the fun of it, the challenge also, especially for an artist, if they want to, especially like me, a self-taught, I also realized that it took me years even to explore other varieties of style of collage, if you know what I mean.
Yes,
like
yes.
it took me 10 years to be able to finally feel comfortable in making abstract collage. That's
wow,
you know what I mean, right? I mean, before, of course, I start with, putting this picture with that picture, but then I always wonder, how is it people make abstract art? I found that just so difficult to start. And like, then with the day I finally able to make my first abstract collage and find my own method of doing it, I feel really happy, because so this is how, and to be able to find the, the beauty of it and to love it. I think that's also one part.
I think abstract it goes two ways, kind of like for me.
Yeah.
Either you want to do it, you can do anything and you call it abstract, but if there is no concept, you can lie to me, but you cannot lie to yourself as an artist. So if there's a concept, if it's very hard to really have a concept and do abstract, but it's really easy just to do abstract. You can do anything and call it abstract. But people won't know that it's really about storytelling, and you tell the story behind it. But as an artist, to actually do an abstract, it's pretty difficult.
And most people think that abstract is very something that like very just being expressive, and no, it's not. I said no, there's a lot of control actually involved in it, right? But most people see it just like a random pieces of things. No, it's like very well calculated and well measured, and most people don't see that, of course, unless you actually get the process and actually doing it yourself until you find it, right? I think that's very also interesting that what you're trying to do with it, with this collage, with this abstract style and approaches, So yeah.
And when I think collage is extremely harder, is because when at the end it's pure idea, then you have to really get your idea out quickly. But execute it in a way that it still look good. That's very difficult.
I mean, being very aesthetic in collage is a challenge, right? Because most of the time, even when you start to find the first piece, for example, of visuals that you want to use, it's already not something that you like, and you have to like deal with it and compromise and think it really hard how to make it work. And also, I think I found that when people see collage at the beginning, they found it as something less interesting compared to illustrations, of course, obviously, right? Because there's no, this brush and this beautiful, end product of art, right?
Because some people, sometimes, even me, when I paint, sometimes you get to enjoy the process of brushing strokes instead of making the painting. The process of brushing strokes is very obsessive. It's like, this is fun. That's why a few years back they have books that fill in the colors, right? They say that it's supposed to calm you down. So people who doesn't know how to draw, they can just get a pen, color pencil, and then start filling. They sell the books with just outlines, right? And then you just fill it in. It's very calming for people.
Like coloring book.
Coloring book. And then it's I understand it's drawing is very calming, but at the end, drawing and art are not the same thing.
True.
So I understand what you say. Collage can be boring. Collage can be boring if you don't have a idea behind it. It is very boring because it's so easy to do. Or I want to do a man and a woman. You just cut out a man and a woman. But like there's so many different types. What are you trying to say? Old man or young woman, or it's like.
And I found along the way that as a collage artist, I also interested with exploring the materials that I use for my collage. For example, I love using wallpaper scraps.
Oh wow! Okay.
Because wallpaper scraps, interestingly, they have such a beautiful texture. So like this variety of textures.
But that's like next level stuff.
Well, I don't know.
Because you're talking about texture now.
Oh yeah, that's true. But then when I told people that, Ika, what do you use? Because apparently it's not paper, right? I always try to make my collages or my art using whatever available around me. Of course, all the trash and all the scraps and bits and everything. I start with using used paper packs like candies,
okay.
like whatever products with paper packaging. So I use the packaging paper as my material, my collage material.
Oh wow.
I started doing it 10 years ago, and after that I've been exploring other medium like tape measurement for sewing.
Okay.
Yeah, I use that.
Oh,
for example, I start to use also trying with styrofoam.
Styrofoam, yes.
I'm also once doing it for a client, doing with receipts from their cafe and restaurant.
Oh yeah, wow.
So I'm collecting all the receipts.
Okay.
And I make collage out of those.
Okay.
Because that's very interesting. And even once I also did another one for a client. I'm using their paper trash from their kitchen.
Okay.
So I'm collecting all the paper trash from their kitchen, and then I turn them into.
It's very fine art for me. What you're doing, it's like
really, wow,
yes,
that's
it's not
interesting.
just the collage that I know.
Oh, okay.
The collage that normally for normal people is just cut out of making mostly magazines.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
magazine has more pictures than words.
Yeah.
So it's easier to find things in the magazine.
Yeah.
But you're doing is like next level. There's a concept behind the things you collect. It's not just what the picture represents. It's the texture, the story behind it. Yeah, that's next level stuff.
And interestingly, I have this one particular shape of collage with like water droplets.
Oh, okay.
That's where most people identify my collage. They said that I know instantly it's your work because with the shape of these water droplets. So I cut them by hand, like this small.
Oh, okay.
I've been making thousands of it.
Oh,
because,
yeah?
Because I've been doing it for.
Like
I spend a couple of hours every day just to prepare some of the materials in variety of materials. Like this is paper scraps. This is like from the papers or from the plastic. So doing that, I've been doing that.
Oh, okay.
So it's interesting that along the way, some people, of course, then who knows me, then I would like to have a collage with my own money collections, old money collections, for example, for my uncle, something like that. So isn't it also interesting how people actually see my work and they put their own materials into my work? Like, that's very interesting, kan? I've been collecting these old stamps, Ika. Can you make a collage out of my own collections of old stamps? Just of course I can do that. So I found it also interesting the way people see my work and see the way I'm using this variety of materials, that they're trying to ask me if I'm okay or would like to use something from their own collections. And for them, of course, it's a commission. But I think it's a very interesting, collaborations then, right? Because they're the one who come up to me and said, Ika, I have this materials. I would like to ask you to make it.
It's actually quite unique because normally, why would they give you their collection for you to break apart and make it into something else? It's not. People normally very cherish of their collection.
Exactly, right. Isn't it very interesting?
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, that's why. And now, I think starting this year, specifically since end of last year, I'm starting now doing a lot of art journaling workshop through collage. So art journaling, pretty much journal.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But using papers, using scraps, using. So I then ask people if, for example, would you like to do this through food scraps and papers and wrappers,
that's
and
actually related.
Exactly.
Oh,
so that's sort of
very interesting,
right?
Because I cannot imagine how to teach collage, but when you say journaling, it makes a lot of sense because not everybody has a great concept behind art. Yeah. But if you tell them journaling of just do things that happen to you, like if you went to Bali, so make your trip into one piece of collage.
Yeah, travel journal, you guys, it's pretty common, right?
It's kind of like diary. So before you go, this is the assignment, and after you come back, give me the collection, and let's. That makes sense.
That's exactly what it is.
Other than that, it's like just to teach is very hard. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I think you're the second artist who said that to me, because the previous one is also another friend of mine. She's also doing collage. She's an artist also, but she said that I I couldn't even imagine put myself in the positions of teaching collage, because
Yes.
I always even find, how am I going to teach this to people? When I'm doing it for myself, so I can do it for myself, but how am I going to explain this
Yes,
to people?
because
right?
it's like if you want to do, doesn't matter what the medium is, like watercolor or oil painting,
Yeah.
or if you want to draw a cup, so they just have to draw it. But when you give them a blank of piece of paper and say, do whatever you want,
And like,
I'm pretty sure nobody knows, so I
true.
don't know what I want.
That's true. So every time I have like, even when we had the workshop last time here, I always start with giving them how to start to make a collage if you have no idea what to make, like
Yes.
just no idea. I
Yeah.
always start with just when you scroll through all the pages on the magazines or whatever, just start with whatever visuals that attracted to you, like your eyes love it or whatever. Just do that. That's the first thing to do. Just collect all the beautiful pictures that you think you love, all of them. Udah, just all of them. Then after that, after you collect all those pictures that you find interesting, then you put them together and see what story you can build out of those.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's one thing. Or pick one visuals that is going to be the main visual of your work. The main visual of your work means the first thing that people will see with their eyes when they see your work. That's the main visuals. So you can start with that too. Pick the main visual of the collage piece that you're going to make, and after that, if you found already the main visual, you just after that just need the additional visuals to strengthen this.
Yes.
That's how I start.
Oh.
When I teach, that's how I start to teach, help people to find ideas. Or people can also start with a word. I love doing this. Word.
A word.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Any word.
Yes.
Let's say delicious, for example.
Yes.
So when you said the word delicious, you can put the word delicious in your collage and just collect all the visuals to deliver, or to whatever you definitions of delicious.
Yes.
That's it.
And it's totally different from everybody.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, because you might be a spicy person, I might be a sweet person. Our
Exactly.
work will be totally different.
Yeah. So that's how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
So I've been doing that now I have this other project also with that kind of method called Word for Women. I've been doing it since 2015. I'm still doing it until now. I ask people in a workshop, what is this one word that describes women for you? Just one word in whatever language, one word. After you get that one word, then you put the collage in it and tell me why in that collage you choose that word.
Oh, you have to explain from your work.
They do that.
They have to explain.
Yes.
Through the work.
Through the, why did they choose it? They say they choose the word mother. Why mother?
Yes.
They're going to make a collage about mother.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've been doing that.
Oh yeah.
Collecting all the words. I think now it's been like 500 collages
Oh wow.
that I've been in more than 50 workshops all over Indonesia. So yeah, it's been an interesting research in a way to see how women being represented to our daily language, because then we can see what the first thing pop up into their mind when we talk about
Yes.
women. That's interesting, right?
That's interesting.
Yes, but you have to explain that through collage.
Yes, and then instead of explaining, they actually get to do something about
Yes,
it.
that's
Yeah.
why most of them like, yes, I'm going to do it. It's
Yes.
totally different than I just come to you and ask you, right? So what is this one word that for you means women? It's totally different than, would you like me to make an art about it? Would you like to make a collage about
Yes.
that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I've been doing that since 2015.
Because when you do it, it's very fast and very easy
Yes.
for me to sit
Verbally
here
just, yeah.
to explain
Yeah,
what
yeah.
the word
Yes.
that relates to me. But when you actually sit down and start looking for materials, things change.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the result has to be somewhat pretty for ourselves. So that also changed.
True.
The placement of things,
True.
the composition of
Yeah.
things, and
Yeah.
it cannot. Yeah, that's very cool. That's very cool.
So that's why for the materials of the workshop, I always bring this women's magazine in Indonesia from 1960s until now.
Oh wow.
So for them to see
Okay.
how women being represented to the magazines, even in Indonesia for back then until now, I feel very interesting conversations happening among them when they
Okay.
realize, oh, wow, how different the advertising for
Oh.
women, for example, in
Yes.
Indonesia from
Yes.
1970s until now. Of course, there's a lot of,
Yes.
changing. There's a lot of, so that's kind of another conversation I would like to try to engage people
Yes.
with. How women also then be represented through their own media, especially women.
What is it that you wanted to aware, or you want them to be aware of what?
How women being represented through our daily language every day.
You want them to recognize that.
Conscious and unconsciously, this is how we talk about women.
Yes.
Yes.
Like instead of knowing the difference, but acknowledge how women are being treated differently
Through language conversations.
through language conversations. Oh, that's very interesting. That's very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
That's,
yes.
I mean, that I've been doing that. So since then, since I've been doing that work, I've been having a lot of requirements from other organizations, from other brands or whatever, to create also workshops for them, referring to one particular word or another, especially topics that maybe most people in Indonesia have difficulty to articulate verbally, like human rights, like gender justice, like HIV, you know, corruptions,
Yes.
those kind of topics. So I've
Yes.
been doing that. Since then, I've been doing a lot of workshops on topics specifically, you know, talk about those topics.
Yes.
But usually made either for organizations or communities or brands or whatever. So I've been interested. I think what I've been doing is actually creating these conversations with public through art making, talking about issues and topic that they might find it very difficult to just talk about openly
Yes,
or verbally.
yes.
So I think that's another offer in a way.
But when you start to do it with money involved, or sponsorship involved, do you sometimes get a agenda shifting, like
no.
like they tell you, oh, can you do?
No, never. They never do that
yeah,
because
that's
they
good.
know my method. They've
yeah.
seen my work, I
Yeah.
think, so they know.
Doesn't work on you.
The thing is, I always, I have some, how do I say it? I have some, not rules, but pretty much if it's a commission work, I always come with several things that the clients need to deliver first to me.
Okay,
So
yes.
that helps me create the brief
Yes, yes.
for the workshop to the public.
Yes.
Because, for example, this year I get this client ask me to create this public mural on collage talking about our health facility in Indonesia. The organization is actually international organizations on health.
Yes.
So, but that's in a way not an easy conversation
It's
to
not,
start with.
especially what just happened.
But interestingly, when we asked them to do it through collage in a public mural and we're doing it together, actually it's not that difficult because most people have their own story.
Yeah.
But I already help them with the variety choices of visuals and words. So what they need to do is only like find the right visuals for them and find the right words for them, just collage it together.
Because
and put it
it's, yes,
Yeah.
this is very interesting. Instead of just saying that it sucks, you have
No.
to show me why
Exactly.
it sucks.
Yes.
And then maybe it doesn't, maybe it does, but you have to show me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can tell that answer through the collage that they
Yes.
make, right?
Yes.
So that's very interesting because
Yes.
even when during the way they choose which visuals that fits my narrations and my story or my opinion and which the word by itself, when we see it in a format of a collage, it's totally different things.
It's totally different.
That's
it's,
right.
it's very visual. It's
Yes.
very, very strong impact.
Yes,
So
that's
for
right.
example, how many people die? 1,000,000 people die. It's just a number. But
Yeah.
if you put 1,000,000 pictures on the wall, that's very,
Yeah.
that's very strong.
True.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's the message. Using art as message is very good because
Yeah.
there's no wrong. And then everybody will appreciate it. And if there's a message behind it, they will feel, they will, not all, but some will be more aware of what's happening.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think also it's always, to me personally, I think they like the idea of they learn art making in a way,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And some people find it, of course, I would never thought I can be this creative, Ika, at the end of it, but I said, everybody's creative. There's no way you're not creative. But also this whole experience of be able, to do that
Yes.
I always ask these questions to all my workshop participants at the end of a workshop. So how do you feel? If it's the first time you're making collage, do you like the process or you don't like the process? Because I believe that if you like the process, you might will be able to go back and make another piece after
Yes,
that, right?
agreed.
But if you're not, it's okay too. It's fine. It's
Yes.
not for everybody, right?
Yes.
But I think it's really good. I think the best part about art making is we have to be aware of the process and how do we feel about it, because it has to be really honest, Karen. If it
Yes.
is not, you
Yes.
can't, and you won't push yourself to like, I don't like drawing, for example.
Yes.
No, whatever people said that you have to keep drawing, you wouldn't draw, I think. Just like my friends who can draw every day. When the first time she joined my collage workshop, and she said, "This is my first time, no, and ever. I will never make a collage again."
Oh yeah.
Because she said, "This is not my cup of tea. I cannot. I do not. I do not have.
to draw.
I do not have the patience
Yes,
to
yes.
looking for the visuals." She's drawing every day. To me, drawing is way, of course, it's way faster for her to draw
Yes.
whatever she wants. And she said, it's been very challenging for me, Ika, but I get that, why people loves it, but no, I think I will stick to drawing fine. But I find it very interesting, right?
Yes.
How some people, actually like it and they don't like it, or find it something that they engage to, or no, it's not my cup of tea.
Yes.
It's
It's totally different than
Yeah.
the workshop that most workshops out there are more about. It's not a skill, it's more like you get to learn to do something that you normally don't get to learn to do. And then the process is just making it.
Oh, true.
So there's no really a art concept behind it. It's like, for example, pottery.
Okay.
And then you just, the whole idea is to make a pottery.
Okay.
So you enjoy the pottery. But there's no really pure art concept behind it. It's just the people like it, join the class.
Okay.
So I don't know how to make a pottery. Now I know how to make a
Yeah,
pottery.
yeah.
I don't know how to make, for example,
Sculpting?
sculpting or even anything.
Anything,
It's
yeah.
more
Yeah.
skill based. Like, I get to
that's
learn
true.
something new, and if I like it, I continue. If I don't like it, it's
that's
like
true.
what is it?
Knitting?
Knitting,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's like just
cross-stitch. Yeah, that's
Sometimes it's there's no, not all, most of the knitting. There's no art concept behind. It's just knitting.
Oh, that's true.
It's just knitting, right?
That's true.
Now yours is exactly the opposite. It's not about learning a skill. It's about expressing
True.
whatever you want
True.
to express.
True.
And then if you don't know how to draw, there's another method. Yeah, and this is the method. Yeah.
That's true. Because I'm a self-taught, I think.
Yeah.
I find my own process of making it. That's why I try to share to people that, to if you never actually expose yourself to art school, kan, gitu, and to push yourself to start learning new art making skill. I think of course it's difficult. At the same time, I find that because I don't refer to this one particular technique or and it's collage, there's a lot of I always say to people that if you feel like would like to competing in technique, there will be somebody much better than you if you talk about competing, right? But if you talk about ideas, that will be a different story, right?
Yes.
Because everyone has their own ideas, and
Yes.
some ideas are just great, way beyond others. So yeah, I said that I would never, of course, said that my collage making technique is the best or whatever, or the coolest, but I think you're right. What I'm trying to share, taught them, is actually the story, like
Yes.
behind why we're making this,
Yes.
rather than how to make this.
Yes, because if for example, you will have two type of students. One is I have 2 hours every day. I want to learn a skill, so I can use my 2 hours every day watching TV.
Okay.
So knitting.
Yeah.
But there's another. So those students, they come to your classes. Well, why would I want to learn about collage? It's too much. Use too much of my brain.
Yeah.
I want to watch TV while doing it. The other kind of student is like, I want to express something, but I don't know how to. So some people use
Yeah,
to
that's true.
music, some people
Yeah,
use to painting,
sure.
but I don't know how to play music or paint. There's a new method. This is also
that's right.
And especially you direct them into a concept. You don't know, then I give you, for example, women.
Yeah.
Oh, so everybody have something to say about women, so they can use that as a concept. That's very clever. I think that's very good.
Thank you.
It's very, it's clever to this way to teach. about collage.
Yeah.
Because if
Yeah.
it's just about let me teach you
Yeah,
how
yeah.
to collage, and they will like this is not a skill. It's just what
Yeah,
am I
exactly,
doing?
right?
What am I
Yeah,
doing?
that's true. I remember, I realize now that some of the people like actually they want to join my workshop, not because they cannot do collage, of course they can, but they want to share their opinions and ideas and story, right? That's why they join, and I say, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So every time I start a new workshop, I always ask questions first. So how many people of you are already familiar with it? How many of you like this is the first time for you? Because then I try to teach them equally. Like I just treat everyone that doesn't know collage at all, right?
Yes.
Because I believe even everyone have their own method and way of doing collage.
Yes.
So we can always share each one how you do it. How do you doing your collage? At the same time, I find also collage is interesting in a way that the part of when to stop gluing.
Oh yeah.
That's the key. When do you know it's enough?
It's enough.
That's very interesting.
That's very hard.
I know, that's why it takes a lot of like control and composition to understand.
Continuously.
Exactly
yes.
right. Especially like, there's this still white background that I need to fill in. And like they just like keep filling in, like and you end up with what I'm making. So I've been also sharing some of the tips how to, before you actually stick anything, add any visuals, how to do it, like give it another perspective from here to here. You take the paper here.
Oh yeah.
So you give a, like
you
a
have
mark.
to see it from
exactly.
a distance.
But for most people, they're not even aware of it because mostly kan you just kayak gini aja, like this kan, gitu.
That's very different.
Yeah, that's why I've been, trying to understand. So of course, even gluing has so many techniques of gluing and cuttings, and some people use scissors, other cutters, or X knife. Some people just being the rip without. So even collage has a very interesting.
It shows character of a person.
That's true.
If you are like very neat person, you're never gonna tear. You want to use a ruler and a cutter.
I cannot tear paper. I cannot. I keep telling everyone, you are so brave. I will never ever do that. And I said, why? I can't even make myself paper. I don't know why.
Yeah, so it shows the character of person.
I have this conversation like yesterday, because yesterday I have this workshop on food, and we talk about. I talk about how I can see how different people are, as simple as through the way they cutting paper.
Yes.
The way they gluing the paper, even that is actually different. Even the way you put some left part on the one visuals, and this is so different.
Yeah, it's so different.
So, but I think that's what makes it so great about working it analog and manually. You can see that, right?
Yes.
You cannot see that through digital.
Because they cannot stand it. So it shows their character. Like
That's
they,
true.
if they care, they care. And then it will show in their work.
Yeah,
that's very interesting. So what's next? Like, what do you think you're gonna do? Start doing 3-dimensional?
Okay. Oh, that's an interesting question. Well, actually, I've been. If we talk about that, like installations, 3-dimensional animations, whatsoever, I did that already in a way that, because of course I'm an exhibiting artist also. I'm doing some commission work, some exhibitions, and sometimes depends on the, at the moment, for example, I'm preparing this exhibition for next year. I'm doing it through collage workshop juga with particular public, but then we're going to take the visuals that they make from this workshop through 3D installations, animations, and Instagram filter.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's good.
I'm doing that too. I mean, of course, it's then depends on the work that I need to do, right? Sometimes when I feel like, I'm going to take this visuals or from the collage that I make into a different kind of executions, for example, I'm doing that too. I'm collaborating with other artists, let's say animator, graphic designers, anyone that I find that it's interesting to collaborate with, and I need their support through my work. But yeah, so I've been doing also taking collage in a different also medium, not only paper, for example. I think also see collage in a way bigger picture. In a way, we can say that everybody is a collage of their past.
Yes.
And then even the way we dressed is a collage, right? Yes. So I've been exploring that approaches also. in doing my work. So a part of, yes, collage, but I'm also taking the collage itself through different medium.
Yes, the idea of collage is actually pouring concept with no no limit materials.
Yeah,
so
true.
whatever you want.
There are like endless possibilities with collage, which is that's really awesome. I think that's what's so good about it.
Is there like, have you ever encountered not fake but so-called fake artists that they look like they're doing something, but deep down they're just not doing anything?
What do you mean?
Like, because collage or sculpting with trash is so easy to execute. So it's just they put together some things and then they call themselves an artist. Have you encountered like, but really deep down they don't really know what they're trying to do, they just want to be in this community?
Oh, okay. That's a very interesting question.
Yeah, have you? Because like sometimes when I see some arts around the world, maybe I don't understand, but sometimes there are some work that you just can see right away. This is BS.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I always see the way, maybe because I'm also self-taught. Yeah, I always believe that everyone could claim themselves to be whatever.
Yes.
Including an artist. But I always believe that you have to be able to responsible for your work.
Yes.
You have to be able to answer every single questions that people have referring to your work.
Yes.
That's how you show them that's your work.
Oh, yes.
That's how I see it. I don't really care even if it's how do I say it, copied, or they said inspired by, or whatever. I always believe, yeah, like you said, people always can tell. To me personally,
Yes.
people can always judge and see if it's honest, if it's sincere, if it's really from you as an artist, or you just happen to just doing it out of, I don't know, stealing other people's work maybe, or copying or whatever. But it's not the point to me, because ideas that really come from inside, like from the artist, people can tell, and it shows through their work. But then again, at the same time, of course, we also realize that it's an industry at the end of the day. People making money out of it with all this technology and whatever. I always see that, I always believe that whatever you want to call it, your art, your techniques, art itself is actually something that, especially in Indonesia, right? It's not something being perceived as something like, how do I say it? If you're an artist, most people will see, oh, that's nice. You must take a lot of time in your room painting. And like, no, you must not have a deadline. I do have a deadline. I do have clients. You know, there's a lot of misconceptions and even with the profession. So there's a lot of things also regarding the work then, right?
Yes.
You know, we can claim whatever. I mean, I'm an artist or I'm a creative person or whatever, but I think the most important thing is the respect, understanding, and the knowledge about the profession or the choices of the art that we choose. Because now I feel that there's a lot of, it's along the way to educate people on art, and you know, but the profession itself, especially the respect, the reward to see being an artist is also like being another profession, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
Yes.
but most people are still seeing it and, oh, you are so cool and you are so, but do you know the work? Did you realize how full of risk and how we are different from other profession, for example?
Yes.
You know,
it's very lonely.
Exactly, that too.
It's very lonely.
And most of the time, of course, and as an artist, we have to do everything by ourselves.
Yes.
Being our own manager, being our own PR person, being our own production person, we're doing everything ourselves, right?
Yes, because it's a very self-challenging profession.
True.
If you do something that people like, you will persist and continue doing the style. But if you do something that people doesn't really get, you will get hit, and then you will doubt, should I change my style to the popular style? But then if you can overpass that consistency, maybe it works, maybe it still doesn't work. But a lot of people just starting to shift. Oh, like for example, maybe this way is more popular now. I should use this medium now because this is the popular thing, you know.
Okay.
And then and then at the end you come back and you realize, but this wasn't what I really wanted to do. Yeah.
True, because I also believe that being an artist for me is my own self-discovery of myself, for myself. And of course, not many people see it that way, right?
Yes.
So I think, I believe that, of course, being an artist also is not for everybody. It's not for everybody. But at the same time, I believe that to be able to divine what kind of artist you want, it might be a lifetime process.
Yes, definitely.
Right?
Yes.
So maybe one day you just feel like, oh, I want to be a conceptual artist,
yes.
or I want to be a multidisciplinary artist, or whatever kind of artist. But I think then if we talk about selling our work, that's a totally different game, right?
Yes.
Exactly. That's why
Yes.
when you just talk about do I want as an artist, do I want to follow this trend of making art that mostly visually popular among people at the same time, who is actually commercially pleasing and commercially engaging, or I'm going to make an art for myself, about myself, and I don't really care, or it doesn't really matter either people out there get my art or not. You know, that's a totally different, something that maybe we struggle as an artist every day.
It has to do with how much money you have.
True.
Yeah.
That is so true. I'm glad you said that.
Because if you don't have money, you have no choice.
Yeah.
But like for example, I always compare art to musicians.
Yeah.
There's a lot of musicians out there playing top 40 for band, for cafe, for everything. Obviously you have the skill.
Yeah.
But how come you don't have your own song? Right?
True.
And then that's one thing, because I cannot play instruments, so
Yeah.
I'm very curious about that.
Yeah.
If you know how to do all this thing, why don't you spend some time to create your own song? But many of them that I ask is they don't have one. It's like, so what is it that you do?
Yeah, I understand. Maybe because for them it's not about that either. At the end, they have the very good skill, but they might not having this urge to create their own work.
Yeah.
Because just by doing what they're doing now, it's enough to make a living.
Yeah.
For them, it's fulfilling.
Yes.
While maybe for some other artists, it's not fulfilling at all.
Yes.
I need to make work that.
Now, so it goes back to how much money you have.
Yes.
If you have a lot of money,
True.
and then you really wanted to do it, then you can do whatever you want.
True.
But if you don't, and then you perform in cafe every day, then you are tired. You don't want to touch the thing next when you wake up tomorrow. It's just too tiring. Yeah.
Or like me, I never want to be a full-time artist, because I know once I make work just to feed me, I'm done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why I always doing other stuff, a part of my art gig, because of that. I would never claim I'm a full-time artist, because I'm not a full-time artist, and I'm not interested to be a full-time artist, because I know the consequences and the risk of putting my work in a position where it has to feed me, right?
Yes.
I'm going to make a totally different kind of work. And making art, it will be something that I do out of duty and necessary, because if I don't make art, I'm not going to eat. That's very scary to me,
tough,
right?
yeah.
Making art, it becomes such a different things and activities and reasons and goals, and it might not be as fun anymore and it is fulfilling anymore, spiritually or mentally, because it becomes something that it's a job, it's a work. I think that's why I'm also always trying to separate my work between commercial ones and those just for the sake of me, myself, and I just want to make this work. And most of the work that I start, like those Word for Women, for example, it's out of my own curiosity of how do we talk about women in our language today. It's simple as that kind of questions, but it starts for myself. I have that question. So a lot of my work actually start for myself, like about myself and what I've seen around me. But then I'm really lucky and grateful and fully support that idea that people like that and get that, and they would like to being part of it. And then I start to get support, I start to get invitation, I start to get a commission from those works. Of course not apply to everybody, every artist, tapi to me personally, that's what I've been trying to do for my own path as an artist, to always start to do things for my own, about myself.
Because you cannot, if it's not from yourself, it's very hard to be consistent. Like it's, you know, it's from yourself, right?
Yeah,
so if
true,
I like blue, then I always do blue.
Yeah,
right.
That's
so
true.
yeah,
that's true. Because then we're like, how could you be so consistent? It's like, what do you mean? You've been doing this for years, like for so long. It's like, yeah, that's true.
Because you do what you like first.
Yeah, that's true. That's the first drive. Like, yes, I have to do it.
If you don't like it,
yeah,
it's fake, and then you won't by choice do the same thing again next time.
Yeah, because I keep telling everyone that if you see me making collage in my daily activities, it's not because I'm a collage artist, it's not because I'm an artist. This is as simple because if I'm not making collage, I'm just not being myself.
Yes.
As simple as that.
I have a close friend who's an interior designer.
Okay.
They're both husband and wife are interior designers, and then so sometimes I ask them questions like, how do you choose your furnitures? He says, as long as you are when you pick the furnitures, as long as you truly like it, right, and then no rush. Don't need to buy a set. Just buy one and one, because he says this is the hardest style. You buy one sofa, and then one sofa, and then one sofa, and then one chair, and then one chair. He says it's the hardest. I think it's very hard, and they say that it's hard if you think you want to match them, but if you buy it because you really like it, and at the end all of the things are the things that you like, they will match each other.
That is cool.
Yeah, for example, you like blue, so all the things will be a little bluish blue, you know, the color will be similar, so at the end if you put all the furnitures together, they will look like they match each other because they all come from me. And I said, oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I'm not trying to buy what's famous out there. I'm trying to buy what I like. So they're never in a hurry to buy, like they have a dining table, they buy a dining table, but no chair. I haven't found one yet. I'll wait.
Wow, that's really
cool.
And
then at the end, every chair is different, every sofa is different, everything is different. Obviously, they didn't come from IKEA, like one set, but everything match with each other.
That's so cool.
And then I was like, wow. That's even though it took years. But that's really cool. Then
that's really rewarding, right? At the same time, it's really fulfilling, right? And it's no longer about, you know, the brand, or it's not about the it's that something that really makes me happy, genuinely makes me happy, genuinely makes me pleased.
And then eventually they will all match because they all come from my liking.
Wow,
and then
so cool.
it's exactly it matches what you say. As long as I truly care, or you truly care, or you truly like, at the end you can do it for a long time, right? That's cool.
Wow, cool.
So the Indonesian fine art community is big or small?
Big, very big.
Very big.
Very big.
Are they struggling or they're fine?
Actually, if we talk about especially contemporary art scene in Indonesia, we've been actually really, how do I say it? Our artists is like big names in a international art fairs, Biennale, Triennale, and lots of other big international art events.
In Indonesia?
Internationally, from Indonesia. But in Indonesia, we have, of course, we are, especially in some other big cities like Yogyakarta, Bandung, Jakarta, of course we have these big galleries, we have art fairs, we have lots of art festivals. We're doing a lot of...
Where do we find this? Because I'm very interested, but I cannot find them. I cannot find museums like MoMA. I cannot find...
we have Museum Macan, for example. That's our museum, contemporary museum. I call it Museum Macan. We have... we actually last weekend we just have Art Moments. Art Moments is one of the art fair that annual, just like we have also.
Big event.
It usually in hotel, like in such a ballroom kind of setup. But we also have our Art Jakarta. We have annual big art fairs event, and we also have Jakarta Biennale, Jogja Biennale, like art biennale in every big city. We have Art Jok in Yogyakarta. That's a very massive art fair.
Are they focused on commercial or
commercial?
Oh, commercial.
Yeah, commercial.
Okay.
But even if it's not commercial, we're also doing and have a lot of galleries, independent galleries, art collectives. We have lots of art collectives. We have a lot of international collaboration work with other artists. Of course, all these cultural centers in Jakarta, like Goethe Institute, like Erasmus House, all those Dutch and German, and also other like British Council, you know, at America. All those international cultural center doing a lot of exhibitions on our local artists, you know, festivals, film, photography. We have Jakarta International Photography Festival coming soon, opening on September 8th.
Okay.
That's a very cool, actually, international photography festival.
I always, maybe it's my Instagram feed, I always get advertisements for product sales instead of artsy stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's always
Okay.
J Expo of like Indonesian trade fair.
Oh,
and
okay.
it's like
Rather than art fair.
yeah, it's
Or
very
design,
hard for
and we
me
have
to
design
find.
biennale.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like, oh, maybe
Yeah.
it's the algorithm that I always click like. But it's still, still very interested in art.
We have Indonesian contemporary art and design every year. You know, we have lots of big things.
Okay,
a
that's
lot
good.
of fashion design and art, other creative and theater and dance. You know, so many things. Which is actually
good.
really cool.
So, do you have any at almost the end of the chit chat? So, for young artists,
Okay.
for not artists, for people who are just got into art or want to get into art but afraid they cannot eat, what do you recommend them? Because it's just, the world is the same. Like if you want to get into art, you have to make sure you have to eat. You can eat, you know.
That's true. That's true. I keep telling people that every time they want to quit their job and being an artist, I said, you know what? I think making art with our tummy full is way different than making art while you're starving. Starving artist is not a good idea at all, to me personally.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
if you go to art with the thought of getting rich, getting money, it's also possible. But at the same time, we all know the process are different for everyone. It, of course, talents, but also I think way much more important than that is hard work, dedication, discipline, and this is what I also believe is actually show up to work every day, like literally show up and work. And it's not about how many work I make at the end of the day. Is it look good or not looking good? Because working as an artist, most of the time, is very demanding mentally because you're not, and you cannot always make a good work every day. There's bullshit. But you can work and you can come and proceed and progress your work by showing up every day. So I keep telling them that money shouldn't be the first goal in making art, because if you want to put money as the first goal, it's going to be very difficult because selling art has never been easy everywhere in the world, any time of the day, because art at the end of the day is not something that is essential for people. But if you want to make art because you want to make yourself happy and fulfilled with the hope that other people will feel the same way through your art, that might be able to do that. You might be able to do so. I think what's so rewarding about art making is actually how you are able to learn about yourself in a different way through art, and also offer to people around you to know about themselves through art. I think that. So first thing first is actually find what kind of artist you want. That's to be. That's the most important thing. And the second, usually, the fame and fortune will come along together when you found what kind of artist you want to be, what kind of work, and how far you're going to push yourself as an artist.
What about those people who already have a job, have a family, but they like art? They want to participate in either doing art or just any kind
Yeah.
of what can they do?
Since I started doing art when I'm still working at the office, 9 to 5, what I say to them is actually, if you really, really like it, like you really, really love art making, invest on it.
Yes.
Invest your time, invest your energy, invest your money if you feel like you need to do it. Actually put a time, like say I'm going to spend misalnya 5 hours on weekend just to make art. Do that. Fulfill that, crave and need for you to make art. Focus on it. Be serious, and actually with the hope that one day it will take you out to places that you don't want to be at the moment, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because that's what I see when I'm first time doing my art. I believe that if I'm doing this more serious and focused, I believe that this will take me places, including out of the place that I'm at the moment still in it, if you know what I mean. So that's exactly what happened. But of course, you must have a faith, not only to yourself, but also to the things that you do. In Bahasa Indonesia, I always said that bersetia terhadap proses. So you have this loyalty to your process. Itu sih.
There's no shortcut.
Yes. No
you have to put in the work.
Yes.
Okay, so the very end, I know you guys might not be watching, but if you are, what would you say to the government of Indonesia? What can they help to the art community?
Okay. I always believe that one of the most important thing about art is the education of it. So the art education is actually very important. We need a lot more other variety of art education format.
In regular schools
available for all kinds of people, for different kind of group.
Okay.
Even adults need an art education, right?
Yes.
So I think that we still have too few art school. We still have too few art galleries. We still have too few art spaces. So I think if possible, please do invest on those spaces, on those groups of people who actually teach art and public initiatives that involves art, especially if you want to be very inclusive and you invite everyone to join in. I think that's what I want to say to the government. We have to still have along the way in creating this a really good and strong ecosystem in art.
Okay, which is ironic because all commercials that I see in the world, government also, they use art to sell. If you want to make a product, you want to make commercials, even a campaign, they use art, design, but it's kind of like art to sell, and yet not much. As I think, especially in Asia, not much country government that actually really care about our community.
I feel that now Indonesian government is way more open and also come up with a lot of initiatives and ideas and projects that involves art. That's really great. That's really awesome. There's a lot of program by the department in our government that invests on actually, for example, where artists can go to several cities and village and teach art. So that's really awesome. But then at the same time, Indonesia is massive. I really wish that it's available. The accessibility is actually has always been the problem. I wish that they're more accessible to people who is not in the center of the, not in Java Island,
accessibility as learning.
And also to art.
To art.
Like
learning how to art.
Including art spaces. Way too few in lots of other cities outside of Java Island, kan. And Indonesia is like massive cities and everything. So I think that, of course, that's a lot of work, but I really appreciate so far what they did with all these programs and projects, initiatives and funding and grants, supporting our artists, including outside and inside of this country in pursuing their art. But I think one of the most important keys also related with accessibility. At the moment, I don't feel like the accessibility for people in Indonesia has an equal access to art, which is to me that also one of the most important thing to learn about it before we can maybe even start with education.
Especially from a foreigner's point of view, Indonesia has a lot of cultures, and every single culture is heavily art involved.
Yes, that's true.
And then it's like, wow, every single culture
We have an
from the clothing,
it's
really amazing.
International,
No one is
art.
boring.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Everybody went all out long time ago.
True.
And somehow it kind of like mellowed down. But a long time ago, when you see the cultures between all the way from Aceh, all the way from, they all went all out with the color.
Yes.
With the,
Yes, absolutely.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you
Thank you,
for
Chris.
talking with us. So where can we find your work?
I mostly put it on my Instagram, Vantiani. That's where I put all the informations on my workshops, exhibitions, commissions, and other opportunities. It includes also some of the. I used to do a lot of campaigns, art campaigns, and projects for myself and for my friends, where people can join in. So yes, do follow me at Instagram at Vantiani. I think a part of Instagram, I'm not actually that active in other social media. So yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you
for the workshop last week.
Thank you.
Thank you for this awesome conversation, Chris.
Yes, the chit chat was very good. So everybody, you already got firsthand. We're trying to dig as much as we can about the art communities, about art in Indonesia, and then hopefully you guys enjoy this. So I'll see you guys next episode. Bye.